Have you watched Chinese television? If you have watched, all the people look happy and cheerful. However, why do Western always look China in a negative way in everything?
The U.S. government's warnings about Communist Chinese Party, malign influence.
The challenge from the Chinese Communist Party isn't Republican or Democrat. It's a challenge to the United States of America.
Not at all. It comes from China. That's why.
There is a vast difference between the past 3 decades and present China. So, is the condition of China as same as they are saying or different? Are they happy in real life also? In this video, an attempt has been made to analyze China as objectively as possible, so please watch this video till the end. China is the world's greatest economic success story, a miracle of development, and yet its people seem to have little cause for joy. Many critics criticize China in their analysis by listing a series of factors including Xinjiang affairs, communist rule, environmental pollution, and the COVID-19 epidemic, which it believes could make Chinese people feel unhappy. But according to a research agency called Ipsos survey report, Chinese were the happiest citizens in a COVID world of the 27 nations surveyed. China has made enormous environmental protection efforts and achievements, which even a growing number of mainstream Western media outlets have started to acknowledge is worth praising. According to Ipsos, the absolute majority of people worldwide believe their own countries are headed in the wrong direction. Globally, pessimism reigns. China, however, insists on being an exception. An astounding 94% of Chinese respondents say their country is moving on the right track, making China easily the most optimistic country in the sample. World Happiness Index and China's position. Now let's talk about another piece of data. In this year's World Happiness Report, published under the auspices of the UN and compiled by an independent panel of researchers with data from multiple international surveys, China remains the 72nd happiest country out of 146 nations. That ranking is a decrease compared to last year. But this ranking is higher than so many democratic countries. Relation between economic growth and happiness. The past quarter century has seen personal incomes go up roughly 5-fold in China, and hundreds of millions of households have been able to afford color televisions, air conditioners, washing machines, and refrigerators for the first time. Many Chinese people have everything that a good, modern Chinese citizen is supposed to want: a stable job with a better-than-average income, a marriage, a child, a car, and even his own home. But they are not quite happy. More money and possessions haven't made people any happier. Countries with high life expectancy and high GDP growth, as China has, generally have a high degree of happiness. But even now, the average satisfaction with life in China isn't much different than it was 30 years ago. Despite all the economic progress their country has made, Chinese people say they are not very satisfied in their lives. The World Health Organization estimates that up to 54 million people in China suffer from clinical depression. And at the extreme end of the depression and mental health issues is the problem of suicide. In the 1990s, the suicide rate in China was one of the highest in the world. Fortunately, the overall rate has dropped and is said to be lower than the global average, at least according to official estimates. Another Chinese economic life survey found that when people earned more, they reported being happy and feeling less unhappy. Freedom of speech and expression is always lovable for all humankind. However, due to the country's political system, some great writers and artists are fleeing from there. Some time ago, billionaire Jack Ma had to pay a heavy price for his comments on government officials. Also, he has stopped appearing as a speaker at public events till now. This shows the condition of Chinese people. But we have to remember that, If the government fulfills all necessities of its citizens, there is no option to raise questions to the government. As we already said, the happiness index of China is higher than so-called democratic countries. CCTV conducted its annual Chinese Economic Life Survey in March 2017 and asked 1 lakh families, what makes them happy? The top 5 factors affecting people's health and happiness were work stress, air quality, mental state, food safety, and their eating habits. Conclusion. Economically, China has thrived and written into all the reform policies, and the rhetoric about the country's bright future has been the implicit promise that life will get better. And by many discrete and objective measures, that is the case. But, with the possible exception of economic ministers, no individual's happiness actually hinges on GDP figures. Nor, for that matter, can national greatness in the abstract translate to individual well-being. On some level, it appears as if the fortunes of the country can disconnect completely from those of the very people who make up the country. According to another study by Easterlin, 2 factors that do correlate with China's decline in happiness are unemployment and a deficient social safety net. China is less than happy, in spite of its progress, and because of it might be a political system, or unemployment, etc. The persons and organizations which assert that Chinese people do not feel happy could hardly provide any convincing opinion poll results. They have tried hard to utilize marginalized emotional and radical rhetoric on the internet as mainstream